In recent years, there has been much debate over the pros and cons of slacktivism due to its rise in popularity. In this talk, I will analyze how slacktivism's rise in popularity affects the amount of change that is actually being done by activists in the world today. However, before we can analyze that, we have to get a broad basis of what activism and slacktivism actually are. Activism is the use of campaigning to enact social or political change to change something that's going on in the world. Activism has long been used as a force for change to enact many policies and different social aspects throughout time and history. There have been many actions where one event has spurred specific social and political change. For example, take the March on Washington during the Civil Rights Movement. For some background on the March on Washington, during the heat of the Civil Rights Movements, tens of thousands of protesters converged on the Washington Mall to protest for equal rights for all races and all people. It looked a little something like this. For some perspective, that's about 250,000 people all in one place. At this event, many significant things happened. Dr. Martin Luther King gave his iconic "I Have a Dream" speech. Bob Dylan and many other significant singers and songwriters performed. The significant turnout from this event and the things that it had involved in the event were the specific turning point in the civil rights movement and helped enact many of the changes that were seen throughout the late 60s. Two of those changing being the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Without the March on Washington, there would not have been either of those acts. However, many critics believe that activism is falling victim to slacktivism, otherwise known as internet activism. Slacktivism is the act of doing something good for a cause, but not actually doing anything that involves effort or time like traditional activism required. For example, some things that are examples of activisms are liking a Facebook status or sharing a YouTube video to all your followers, your friends, your buddies, whatever else there is. One of the major catalysts for this criticism of slacktivism was the Kony 2012 movement. The Kony 2012 movement started when Invisible Children, and it was an organization that likes to prevent human rights violations from happening, released this video to help expose Joseph Kony, a warlord in Africa, and his war crimes, and specifically his use of child soldiers in Africa. The video encouraged you to share the video with all of your friends and all of your followers so everybody could know who Kony was, and it would raise his big above, and then they could catch him. It also encouraged you to buy a $30 care package just to help Invisible Children help fight this cause. But it didn't do anything other than that. It didn't encourage you to go out and fight, to encourage your congressman to find Kony and stop him from doing what he's doing. It didn't encourage you to go out and have giant demonstrations. It just encouraged you to only become an activist in the realm of the internet and the online. Many critics believe this is going to damage activism at its core and cause many issues with the amount of change that can actually be made. Much of this criticism stems from the debate of online versus offline. Many critics, such as Sherry Turkle, believe that the world is becoming two separate worlds, so to speak, one in the online, a virtual world, and one in the offline, the real world, the world we live in today. So these people believe that the virtual world is becoming such an effect with the rise of technology over our lives that it will completely overtake the real world, and the real world just will have very little effect anymore. Our entire lives will be concentrated in the virtual world. This is the same belief behind slacktivism and internet activism and its effect on activism. A lot of critics believe that because slacktivism is becoming so easy and becoming so popular, that it's just going to completely wipe away regular activism and cause it to just disappear. However, according to many recent studies that are coming out about the topic, this isn't true. A study performed recently, I believe 2011, after the release of the Kony video, said that around 80% of people would rather pursue supporting a cause offline, so in the real world, than the 20% who would rather support a cause in the online. Also, the people that support causes online and that spam your Facebook and spam your emails, they're more likely to support causes in the offline than people who only support causes offline. So this question raises many, many significant things. It's not so much that it's 100,000 people going out and becoming activists and picket fencing and picketing to support a cause. And it's not so much 1 million people liking a Facebook page. These two can be used together as a method of social change compared to them completely coexisting, or to them completely being separate entities. And that is the thing that people need to start, and groups that want to enact change and want to make change need to start looking at. Instead of it being offline versus the online, it needs to be the offline and the online. And that will be the most successful way to make change. Thank you.